I was born and raised in the Netherlands, but to Ghanaian parents. So that makes me Dutch by birth and Ghanaian by heritage. Now, that also places me in a group that's called the diaspora. All right? And so the diaspora is explained as to being any body of people living outside a traditional homeland. This is 2019, and this is a special year for this particular diaspora. As the president of the country, His Excellency Nana Akufo-Addo, has declared this year the year of return, it's an appeal to the wider diaspora, the African Americans, the Caribbeans, people that are of Ghanaian descent, to come home and be a part of this Ghanaian story. Before I came to Ghana, I was working with Goldman Sachs, a prestigious investment bank, and decided 3 years ago that I also wanted to be part of this Ghanaian story. And so I packed my bags and then moved back to my country of origin to indeed become a part of this Ghanaian dream. I came back to build this Ghanaian dream. And like me, there's quite some diaspora and people from the diaspora that are interested indeed being a part of this Ghanaian dream and putting their resources, both their financial and human resources, to work in the country they originate from. I mean, if you look at the amount of visas that have been given out this year, there's a lot of people that are going to come down to Ghana. I believe already 750,000 visas have been given out to people. This includes also the diaspora, and obviously also includes people that are coming for Afro Nation, Afrochella, Dirty Rave. I'm sure a lot of you are coming for these kind of parties. But I also believe that there's quite a significant proportion of these people that are coming down to think and look at ways and means of contributing to this Ghanaian dream. Myself, as in our company, Bridge Partners, also organizes events in the Netherlands and across the diaspora called the Ghanaian Dream. And so the Ghanaian Dream is an event to indeed inspire, equip, and inform this diaspora on how to actually become a part of this Ghanaian dream. We want people home to come and build. But the funny thing about this Ghanaian dream I learned 3 years ago is that it doesn't apply to each and every one. I think I already heard something in the audience. There was a lady that was speaking about this Ghanaian dream, not necessarily applying to each and every one. And I also found out. For the purposes of keeping him anonymous, I'll call him Kofi. And so I was speaking to Kofi. Kofi is in his mid-30s. He's a banker. He's working with one of the biggest banks in the country. He's earning a good salary. He's driving a nice car. He's well-respected, well-groomed, well-educated, looks successful, is seemingly successful. Now, in a conversation, Kofi tells me, Chale, I'll do anything today for your place inside. So if you get some connection, let me know. Basically telling me that he would want to leave Ghana, to come and live in Europe, to look at opportunities in Europe. So we identify a paradox. We're now speaking about the year of return, everyone coming back to Ghana, there's opportunities, there's this, there's that, come back to Ghana. But there's people in Ghana, born and raised, that would actually want to leave Ghana, even now. Maybe there's even people sitting in the room that are now a bit ashamed. So there's a paradox. How can it be that we're speaking about the Ghanaian dream, so many people wanting to come down to Ghana, doing anything and everything to indeed come to Ghana? I mean, the Ghanaian dream that we organize every year, it's always full up. Between 200 and 250 people come through to come and learn about what they can do to also be a part of this Ghanaian dream. But at the same time, you have Kofi. Kofi that seems successful, actually has almost, in my opinion, everything going for him, but still wants to leave Ghana. So that's a problem. And so today we're going to speak about what it is like and what we are to do to indeed have a Ghana in which each and every one, both locals and diaspora, believe that something like the Ghanaian dream is indeed possible. The Ghanaian dream, obviously, is a phrase that is derived from the word or the phrase the American dream. And the American dream is the belief that anyone, regardless of where they were born or what class they were born into, can attain their own version of success in a society where upward mobility is possible for everyone. Each and every one. And so in building this Ghanaian dream, I believe the answer is a very simple answer. And I believe it's an overused word, but it's overused for a reason, because it is the answer. It's the mindset. It's a mindset that needs to be shifted and needs to be changed in order for us to build a Ghana where something like the Ghanaian dream is possible. And so I coined the phrase ABBA. Say ABBA. ABBA stands for what I believe we are to do collectively as a country to build a Ghanaian dream that facilitates not just me, but facilitates Kofi, Ama, Kwabna, Sarah, Jessica, and Peter. The first word is appreciate. And so the word appreciate has two connotations. The first connotation is around understanding, and this particularly applies to the diaspora. Quite often where I hear someone coming from either the UK or the Netherlands or the US or whatever, I hear them speaking about things that they are used to in their country. Or if this was in the UK, this and this wouldn't have happened. Oh, well, in the Netherlands we don't do this. Girl, US in the US, if you would have done this, you'd be dead. This is not the US. This is not the UK. This is not the Netherlands. And in order for you to indeed sail smoothly, you are to firstly understand that you were not in the country that you came from. Ghana is not the UK, Ghana is not the US, Ghana is not even any of the 53 other countries that we house on the continent. So it starts with the understanding that you are in a completely different environment. Then there's value. How many people know that what you appreciate appreciates? And what you give attention to grows. And the grass is only greener where you water it. And so valuing where you are eventually ends up in us building something that each and everyone would be comfortable with. Just to give you an example, right now we're speaking about the Ghanaian dream, about coming back to Ghana, we're speaking about traffic, we're speaking about all these issues and problems that we have. But if you understand that indeed you are in Ghana, one of the main things that you'd have to think of is being patient, right? Being patient with progress. I'd always say be patient with the progress, but be impatient with imperfection. So that's a disclaimer. As much as you have to be patient with the progress, patient with the people, patient with the environment, never ever become patient with imperfection, right? And if you value something, you'd want to indeed grow it. You'd want to nurture it. How many people have kids here? Anyone have kids? Right, so I don't have kids on my own, but I believe that if your kid is, let's say, a week old or a month old and is trying to walk and stumbles, you will not let this you will not put this child up for adoption, right? Because you believe and understand it's a child, it's your child, you love it, you nurture it, and it will be well. You will be patient, and you will make sure that you do whatever you need to do to get this child to actually walk. It's the same with valuing a country. Understanding indeed, maybe right now you may not be where you want to be, but at some point you'll get there. And valuing a country, valuing where you are and what you have, will enable you to indeed be patient, to indeed get where you have to be. Even in terms of business success. So when I came to Ghana, I started as the country managing director of Jumia Food. How many of you know Jumia Food? So Jumia Food is an online food delivery service. And what we basically do is that we deliver food right to your doorstep. So it's a convenience-based business. Jumia Food is not different from Uber Eats, Takeaway.com, or any of the other services that basically bring convenience. You're buying convenience. And convenience-based businesses thrive in areas where two criteria are met. The first requirement is that you need to be in an area where you have a lot of people that have a lot of money to spend. Good purchasing power. The second requirement is you'd have to be in an area where those people that have a lot of money to spend also don't have time. So typically you'd end up in the cities. Look at all these big companies, Uber, Uber Eats, and the companies that I just mentioned, they will actually first start in the cities and grow in the cities because that's where they find their target markets. It's the same in Ghana to a certain extent. When I came to Jumia, my task was to grow the company as fast as possible and make it ready for an IPO, to sell it. And we succeeded in doing so. The people that I was working with were people that were French. So there's a layer of French and British executives that may have a different philosophy to doing business in Ghana, since they obviously are also limited by their frame of reference, their French and their British frame of reference. So the first thing that I saw was happening at Jumia when I came was that the focus was a lot on expats, right? So remember, 2 requirements: people with quite some money to spend and little time to spend, right? And so if you look at expats, those are people that come to Ghana to work, don't have much time to spend, and typically get paid above average. So that would be good for business. The thing with looking at this group, and solely this group in Ghana though, is that this is a small group. So in order to grow and get the numbers that you'd want to have, you wouldn't be able to succeed. You need a tailored approach. You need to appreciate where you are. You are in Ghana, where you have a completely different target market. And so what we try to do is that we try to appreciate where we were. We're in Ghana. What we eat is obviously not only salads and sandwiches. We eat banku, fufu, tiozavi, emutuo, jollof rice, Ghanaian jollof rice. Just a disclaimer. And so what we did is that we set up a local food campaign to get people to eat more local food. It was appalling to see that the food that we were selling on the platform when I came was around 30% local food and 70% foreign food, so to speak. If we would have done the same thing and same research in Italy, it would have been completely different. Anyone and everyone who would actually go to Italy on holiday would definitely try pizza, pasta, or any of the other indigenous foods. But it's possible to come to Ghana and to spend years here without even trying one local food. And so that's a problem. And so what we did in order to grow the company is to do a local food campaign and change the mindset. Right? Typically what also happens, going back to appreciation and value, is that people see and rank local food under continental food. Right? People see it as subpar. So people happily spend 100 cedis on a pizza, whereas if you ask them to pay 80 cedis on the best banku and tilapia, they'll call you mad. And so we had to do something to change that. We had to get people to understand that, okay, well, local food can be premium. And so it comes with a lot. It also comes with branding. And so this is what we call branding. We made sure we invested into kaftans for all our 116 riders, said that our 116 riders, whenever they are offering or delivering the local food, be wearing premium West African kaftans. It does something. It does something with how you look at that which is presented to you. And it helped. It helped us to indeed go from a company that was making 6 figures into a company that was making 7 figures 4 times over in a short time. And even got recognized by the government for indeed getting people, both the Ghanaian people as foreign people, to try local food. And it happens with appreciating where you are and what you have to offer. To add to that, if the Italians in Naples wouldn't have valued their pizza as much, we wouldn't have been able to buy pizza on every single corner in Osu. It started with valuing what you have. Believe. You can only go as far as you think you can go. And when I came to Ghana, one of the things that irritated me a lot was whenever you're trying to implement something, someone would tell you, oh, but here's Ghana. Which basically says, here's Ghana, here we don't do these things, here those things don't work. And so you're basically limiting yourself without even trying. You'll always stay in the same position, never ever being able to change the status quo. The people that are crazy enough to think they can make the change are actually the people making the change. And so if we actually indeed want a Ghana that facilitates each and every one, the Terrys and the Kofis, then we need to believe that we can collectively do so. And then the last thing is to act. We have to act upon it. So it's not just appreciating and valuing what you have, valuing the indigenous things that we have, for it to be patronized internationally. It's not just believing that we can, but it's also acting upon it. So if indeed you believe that you love Ghana and you would want the Ghanaian economy to thrive, buy locally. Buy locally. And again, I fully understand, again, myself, I also buy where I see value. So if there's something that doesn't really meet my requirements or standards, I wouldn't buy it. But then make sure that if you don't buy from a particular local seller, you also explain why you're not buying it. For the person, to give the person the chance to indeed improve upon his or her services or products. That is what we are to do to indeed create a Ghana where everyone would be facilitated and everyone would be able to live the Ghanaian dream. So, again, we're in a beautiful country with beautiful opportunities. There's a problem. Not everyone sees the Ghanaian dream. And if we are to indeed build a Ghana that facilitates Kofi, Ama, Terry, and Linda, we have to arise, wake up, and build this Ghanaian dream. Thank you very much.